discuss to you our first topic in this course. But before that, let me share to you the book that I am using as my reference. Okay, so this is the book that I am using. The title of the book is Readings from World Literatures, Understanding People's Cultures, Traditions, and Beliefs. So these are the authors of this book. So marami po sila. And this book was published last 2013. Okay, so let us now start. Okay, so I know that you can now see my PowerPoint presentation. The first topic that we are going to discuss in this course is all about Introduction to Literary Studies. But before that, please find an area in your house where you can sit comfortably and focus. Prepare your notebooks and your ball pen to get started. Okay, so please use your notebooks and your ball pen so you can take down notes. Okay, so this is very important. The first question that you will be asking is, what is literature? We have known literature the moment we have first opened our eyes to television when we were children, nung bata pa tayo, and have first realized it when we went to school for learning during our kinder years. So literature takes many forms. It could be poetry, songs, riddles, essay, and many more. So when we talk of literature, it could be written, it could be heard, readable, and even watchable. So literature is everywhere and a part of us. So kahit saan ka, makikita mo sa literature. When we feel happy or sad, we write poems and songs. When we are bored, we indulge ourselves to every books, whatever their genres might be, okay? So minsan nagbabasa tayo, lalo na kapag bored tayo. So literature is life class. Literature is the present along with the past. And this literature we are creating in the present will be alive for the future generations for them to love it. And the true reason why we love literature, how it continued to stay with us and will continue to be by our side, is because it doesn't relieve the past by bringing it to you, okay? It brings you back to the era of that literature for you to leave the past yourself. Okay, literature is part of people's lives for it helps them or us, of course, in understanding the true meaning of literature. Bakit ba kailangan nating pag-aralan si Philippine literature? Ano ba ang meron sa kanya? Okay, now, when we talk of literature class, basically, we are going to read. Okay, magbabasa tayo, comprehend, and analyze a lot of stories and poems for it helps us hone our skills in reading, writing, and many more. So hindi lang po ibig sabihin na pinag-aaralan natin sa literature, mga information lang yung pwede nating makuha. Of course, napapractice din or na-enhance din yung skills natin, lalo na in writing and in reading and or in speaking. Our past experiences make us a better individuals, okay? We need to remember that our past experiences has always a place in our present experiences. So wag yung sasabihin class na nakalimutan niyo na si past. Kasi si past will always be part of our present. Kung ano tayo ngayon, that is because of our past experiences. That is why we need to study Philippine literature to go back, okay? Balikan natin, reflect, and apply the things that we have learned from the past, okay? So we have here literature has several definitions. Here are some of its meanings that are taken from various sources. So we have here a definition came from Esther Lombardi. It is a term used to describe written or spoken material. Broadly speaking, literature is used to describe anything from creative writing to more technical or scientific works. But the term is most commonly used to refer to works of the creative imagination, including works of poetry, drama, fiction, and nonfiction. So that is according to Esther Lombardi. Okay, in short class, literature is a body of written works of a language, period, or culture produced by scholars or researchers specialized in a given field. So I know you're familiar with some of the literary works, just like poems, fiction, and nonfiction stories, and a lot more. So literary works serve as a food for thought and a tonic for imagination and creativity. Another definition came from Francisco O. Javins. It develops a keener sensitiveness to life, a clear self-knowledge, a more balanced sense of values. So literature helps us also in understanding the things that are meaningful and valued by an individual, a group of people, or even an organization. So literature class is not merely about learning the literary works itself, but also helping us to realize and experience the sense of value. So while learning or while understanding bakit natin kailangan pag-aralan si literature, hindi lang po ibig sabihin no na binabalikan natin kung ano yung meron sa past or kung ano yung mga nangyayari before na hindi natin napagdaanan. Okay? It is also teaching us kung paano natin i-value yung isang bagay. Okay? Yan din yung isa sa mga tinuturo sa atin ni literature. Next is, according to C.S. Lewis, it adds to reality. It does not simply describe. So the name C.S. Lewis stands for Clive or Cleave Staples Lewis. So he is actually the author of Chronicles of Narnia. I know that you have watched that movie for how many times already. So definitely yes, I would really agree to him. Kasi according to him, it enriches the necessary competencies that daily life requires and provides. And in this respect, class, it irrigates the deserts that our lives have already become. So that is according to the author. So it emphasized the importance of literature in our lives. Yes, literature is not merely a depiction of reality, it is rather a value addition rather. Next, according to Amador Dagu, it is the beautiful expression of man's personal interpretation of some aspect of human life, or a wedding out in a unique, beautiful, and personal manner of saying what an author thinks is a passionate meaning of life. This is saying that literature not only becomes, but is life itself, okay? So authors or poets are gifted of this kind of skill because not everyone can make stories or poems out of their imagination. That is why I really salute them, okay? Bilib na bilib talaga ako, lalo na doon sa mga taong magaling magsulat, okay? Kasi hindi po tayo lahat gifted ng ganung skill, okay? So that is why salute po talaga ako doon sa mga magagaling, sa ating mga poets, sa ating mga authors na magaling gumawa, magaling magsulat, and that is because of their wide imagination. Kahit saan po sila dinadala ng kanilang imagination. Now, what is the importance of studying literature? Bakit ba importante? Or ano kaya itong importance kung bakit kailangan natin pag-aralan itong literature? So there are reasons why studying literature important in our lives, okay? Literature also helps students, kayo, tayo, see the world, people, places, things, events through different eyes and by way of a different viewpoint. So this contributes to you students, or for us of course, in forming and developing your own belief set, opinions, views, and such. From a purely academic standpoint, reading literature of high quality helps you students discern good writing from bad writing. Ayan. This will help you in your own writing, okay? Aside sa marami tayong nalalaman na information, nakakatulong din siya sa atin. Others believe, and I believe there is power in stories, okay? Literature is both intensely personal as well as a communal experience. It is so fun examining words, sentences, characters, plot lines, and tropes reveal who we are as humans. Humanity is a complicated thing and requires an infinite amount of words to describe and analyze. But that's the joy of studying literature. There is always a new reality to discover. Mahirap man siya i-analyze at first, pero later on, kapag nakukuha mo naman yung gustong i-convey sa atin ng author, ang gandang balikan, okay? Ang gandang basahin, ang gandang tapusin agad ng mga stories. Okay, first is, we have here, literature helps us grow both personally and intellectually. So it reflects significant human experiences. It allows us to grow personally by learning from the experience of other people. So it enables us to handle varied human situations that we never experienced before. Now, when we talk of intellectual or intellectually, because it enhances our vocabulary range vis-a-vis our mental faculty, thus making us think critically to articulate and defend our point of view. So sometimes our critical thinking functions well, especially when needed, di ba? It helps us to justify our ideas and opinions to a particular statement. Number two, literature links us with the world of which we are a part. It helps us understand the people around nations, their cultures, traditions, beliefs, and religious practices. So in this aspect, class, for example, some of us are watching Korean dramas, okay? Alam kong nanonood din kayo at alam kong you are also fan of K-dramas, okay? So we discovered some of their cultures, traditions, and beliefs along na habang nanonood tayo ng mga K-dramas. So, when it comes to their religions, they have three. They have Confucianism, Buddhism, and Christianity as their main religions. So, when it comes to their Korean cuisine, ayan, it is largely based on rice, noodles, vegetables, and meats. Some of the famous Korean dishes include bibimbap, bulgogi, and dakgalbi. So the Korean culture is based on politeness and respect, and this is clearly evident in Korean table manners. So yun yung meron, yun yung mga practices na meron sila, yun yung mga kind of foods na gustong-gusto nila. So these are some of the examples of Korean practices that we were able to know and discover as we link with other countries all over the world. So hindi lang po Korea, okay? We are also linked with other countries kahit saang lupalop ng mundo. So we need to live harmoniously by also recognizing and respecting individual differences. Kung ano man yung mga practices na meron sila at nakasanayan nila at meron sila doon sa bansa nila, we have to respect that, okay? Kasi irerespeto din po nila kung ano yung mga practices, cultures, and traditions natin dito sa Philippines, okay? Number three, literature enables us to transcend our immediate time, place, and culture and to make connections with other human beings and their concerns. So it enables us to break away from or go beyond our present reality through the power of imagination, enabling one to travel through time and space. So our imaginations bring us to unexpected things. Okay? Dinadala tayo ng imagination natin kahit saan. So poets are really one of a kind. Why? Because of their great works. Okay? Not all of us are gifted with such talents. Yan yung sinasabi ko kanina. Konti lang po or iilan lang po sa atin yung mga magagaling or may skill talaga sa pagsusulat. So stories bring to our mind new points of view, new information, and they train our brains to imagine different situations, okay? This experience surely may help someone when he or she encounters difficult circumstances, okay? Number four, literature encourages us to develop mature empathy with all forms of life, human, animal, and plant. So it nurtures our sensibility and compassion for the environment and everything in it by making us grasp the interconnectedness of life on earth. So we were reminded to be the stewards of God's creation, for the earth serves as the habitat of all. So in today's generation, most of us tend to forget that the world we live in is just borrowed from God. Okay? With that, we need to think that we will never know when this will be taken away from us. That is why we need to what? Take care of all living things around us. Hindi natin alam, class, kung kailan babawiin sa atin ito. We Catholics believe in that everything came from God. Okay? So, hindi natin alam kung kailan ito babawiin sa atin. So sometimes masasabi natin na nasa huli ang pagsisisi. Bakit? Kung sa una pa lang sana ginawa na natin yung mga hindi dapat gawin, di sana hindi nagkaganito yung mundo natin ngayon. Okay? If we just took care of it well, I don't think we will experience natural calamities like landslides, floods, and many more. So recently, dahil doon sa mga ulan, sunod-sunod na ulan, nagkaroon ng baha doon sa amin. And kahit sa ang part dito sa atin sa Mindanao, okay? Marami talaga yung mga ginaha. So this in essence means that environmental matters are about our responsibility as God's children and people of faith to care for each other and future generation. So alagaan sana natin class kung ano yung meron tayo ngayon, okay? Kasi later on, doon pa natin marirealize na, mali pala yung ginawa ko na pagtapon ng basura sa ilog. Mali pala yung ginawa ko pagtapon ng basura kahit saan. So, di ba, ngayon pa lang natin na-internalize sa sarili natin na, mali pala yung mga ginagawa namin ngayon. Kaya, mabalik sa atin lahat today. Okay? So, wala pong mabiblame dyan, kundi tayo pa rin na mga tao kasi tayo yung tayo yung nandito sa mundo na ito. So we have to take care of it well. Okay? Next, literature sharpens our sense of moral judgment. Okay? It hones our sense of morality by delineating the distinction between art and pornography, right from wrong, moral and immoral, and that what is ethical may not necessarily be good in our own consciousness. So traditionally speaking, moral judgment is supposed to be based upon a consideration of the factors of an actor's character and situation. So from this perspective, class, human beings deliberately consider various factors that go into a particular behavior in a situation and render their judgment based on those factors. So in short, it enables us to make our personal judgment based on our standard of morality. Number 6, literature stimulates our imagination and ingenuity. It fuels our imagination and creativity to reconstruct the plot. So these are essential to make sense of literary work, whether it is read, performed, or viewed. So reading broadens our imagination by stimulating the right side of our brain. So it literally opens our minds to new possibilities and new ideas, helping us experience and analyze the world through others' lives. So they found that becoming engrossed in a novel enhances connectivity in the brain and improves brain function. Number 7, literature shows the significance of irony, paradox, oxymoron, and ambivalence. So it acquaints us to different poetic devices and poetic dictions to unearth the message of the poets different from fictionists and playwrights. So most of the time, class, it will require us to have working knowledge of literary theories or approaches to recreate the writer's intended meaning, okay? Number 8, literature allows us to see the world in different vantage points. It enables us to see the world in different perspectives. What is perceived to be good may not be good in your own standard, in the same way that what is perceived to be bad may not be necessarily be bad in your own consciousness, because we see things in different angles. Now, when we talk of perspective, it is the very element that makes us see things differently, okay? Magkaiba po yung pananaw natin. Often, our perspective is based on our unconscious beliefs. We view them as per the past that we have experienced. It is one of the reasons why we have these beliefs. However, a situation can be interpreted by different people since we all have different perspectives. So you cannot insist your own ideas na, hindi, ito yung paniwalaan mo kasi ito yung tama. This is right, okay? Mali yung pinaniniwalaan mo. No, okay? You cannot say that. You cannot insist your own ideas or opinions doon sa mga iba yung paniniwala. Why? Because iba po yung mga pananaw natin. Iba yung the way we see things, okay? Others will agree on my explanation dito sa discussion natin. Others will not, okay? Maybe because we see things way too differently. Okay? So, yan po yung ibig sabihin ng number 8. Number 9, literature relives history. It has historical grounding, thus making the readers aware of some important facts in the past to make sense of the present circumstances where we are in. So literature doesn't just talk about what's present, okay? Literature also brings back the history and past, okay? Through the books we read containing past events such as novels or Dr. Jose Rizal, namely Noli Me Tangere, and El Filibusterismo. So in short, we are able to establish the connection between the past and the present and what tomorrow may bring. Yun nga yung sabi ko. Yung past natin, wag po natin kakalimutan yung past natin kasi always po siyang part ng present natin. Always siyang parte kung ano yung meron tayo ngayon. Okay? Number 10, literature reminds us that we are human beings. It makes us realize, class, that we have our own limitations, insecurities, and imperfections, okay? That despite our shortcomings, we learn from our experiences and from the experiences of other people. So sometimes we learn more from challenges and failures than from successes. So failure is always a part of life, okay? Kahit saan tayo, magiging parte po si failure ng buhay natin. Kasi hindi naman lahat perfect, di ba? Hindi naman pwede nating sabihin, papasa ako agad dyan, papasa ako dito kahit saan, okay? Si failure kahit saan po yan, okay? May experience natin sa feeling. See? Failure. So it makes us better individuals, responsible, self-reliant, compassionate, God-fearing, and God-loving. So sometimes we get to think, nagiging insecure tayo minsan, bakit mayaman sila? Bakit kami hindi? Okay? So sometimes we ask this kind of questions. So, bakit maganda sila? Bakit ako hindi? Bakit maputi sila? Bakit ako hindi? So I believe, class, we have a lot of questions in our minds. So we get insecure and sometimes we turn into judgmental persons kasi nga ayaw mo sila kaya sometimes ginajudge mo. So we all have imperfections, okay? And the only thing that we can do is to accept it more fully, okay? Hindi po tayo perfect, class, okay? Nagkakamali din tayo. So we commit mistakes. Sometimes hindi natin sinasadya. Sometimes naman we are conscious na nakagawa tayo ng hindi maganda. But still, we are human beings, okay? Hindi tayo perfecto. Nagkakamali din tayo. But still, yun, tao pa rin tayo. Just like in our current situation that we are experiencing COVID-19. So this is really a huge challenge to all of us, di ba? Kasi nga, we didn't expect that it will come this far. Hindi natin ina-expect na hanggang ngayong months, nandito pa rin si COVID-19. Okay? But of course, because of this pandemic, marami din tayong na-realize, marami tayong natutunan, class. We were also reminded that there are still a lot of things to consider. We need to get closer to God, okay? Because we have to be more faithful and hopeful that one day this will pass. So I know someday this COVID-19 will become part of our experiences. And from these experiences, we learned a lot. So wag po tayong mawala ng pag-asa. Kasi si God lang po ang nakakaalam kung kailan ito matatapos. And that is why nagkakaroon tayo ng online learning ngayon. Kasi nga meron pa itong nandito pa si COVID, okay? So hindi naman pwede na mag face-to-face tayo kasi merong mga local transmissions. So siguro, class, kahit ganito, please do not stop learning, okay? Marami pa tayong madidiscover sa mga sarili natin. And konting tiis lang, alam kong nag-a-adjust kami ng mga teachers ninyo at alam kong nag-a-adjust rin kayo. Okay? So let's enjoy learning. Thank you for listening and thank you for watching. Bye!